Welcome back to another theory. For today, I would like to talk about the location of the new moon. To fully understand this theory, I would recommend you watch the previous theory about the world plates first. I have been an avid proposer of a certain something something, and today I will shed full light on that. I believe all timelines are converging. What that means exactly and how that is possible can be partially explained by the aforementioned plates theory. Let us move on to today's theory. Where would the new moon be located? Why would it be located there? And how have I come to think that specifically this location is where it would be? Now that we have established where I think it will go, let's move to where that would be in overlapping the map of Dragon's Dogma 2 with the map of Lestania. In Dragon's Dogma Online, something rather peculiar shows. Not only do the maps look rather similar in scope and shape, there seem to be a few particular reference points I can show along the way using this image. For example, Aguan Volcanic Island seems to be around the same area wherein we can find the Kenozan hot springs. We know from Dragon's Dogma lore that these hot springs have been there for as far as history stretches, and we also know that the origin is volcanic heat. Not only that, but in the mines near the town of Kenoza, Moonlight Mushroom can be found. Now, as with anything fan translated, this is likely the contextually correct translation. However, for Dragon's Dogma 2, we have Moonglint's Tower in the same location as where the mines are in DDON. Now, I need you to pay close attention, otherwise what I say next won't make much sense, so I will say it slowly. From exactly where Kenoza, the hot springs, the mines, and Moonglint's Tower are, to the top where Melf is supposed to be in DD2, and where in Dogma Online you can find a big gaping crater in the landscape, is where I believe the new moon will spawn. Another interesting side effect about the towers is how they are all prefaced with the moon parameter. You have Moonglint Tower, Tower of the New Moon, Blue Moon Tower. I believe there's a couple more that I've missed. I tried to find them, I can't find them, so I'm sorry for that. And also, by extension, the Everfall.
Lies!
These structures specifically are, as established by Dark Arisen, a nexus between worlds, and these structures must have served a certain purpose in their primes. I believe each cycle, just such structures, one such structure, rises from the world steps, and I think the reason of them seen in the game that they are in ruins might be the same reason why you think they would be. The rift portals open gates to another world, and once these gates close, the possibility for such a tower structure to pass through a gate disappears, meaning part of the tower would literally be cut away from its endlessness. But Blue Moon, Moonglint, New Moon, and the Everfall are hardly the only such structures, and that's might raise questions for those that haven't played Dogma Online. Perhaps the most interesting part is the fact that Dragon's Dogma Online takes place outside Order, as per Leo, one of the main characters of the story. We'll get back to him later. And that in Dragon's Dogma Online, there are many structures like the Everfall, like Moonglint, like the Tower of the New Moon, which could imply that many of those structures are from many cycles or other worlds. Dragon's Dogma Online also goes deeper into the real purpose behind Arisen and Dragons. Arisen and Dragons are closely tied to the world itself. We already know this from Dark Arisen, and DD2 only enhanced that by showing that our very will can shape the world. Following this write-up, I would like to ask a question. What are pawns? And why do we need to manifest our will?
Make manifest your will. That's at last this world might.
And what do you suppose the Great Will is, knowing this? I'm being coy again, of course. But let me know in the comments what you think. Anyway, DD1 goes ahead and established that to maintain the current world, an Arisen needs to eventually take the place of the current active dragon. Dragon's Dogma 2 vaguely says this, but never specifically states it. Going back to the actual topic of the day, in Dragon's Dogma Online, the location of the crater, and where we could assume Melf used to be, is a rather significant location. From this location, a lost civilization is summoned through rift portals in Dogma Online. The way this is done is by using 3 large artifacts. Artifacts of immense size. It just so happens that Batal's glyphstones mention just such artifacts being hidden somewhere in its region. We never do anything with this piece of lore. Neither do we do anything with the history of Emperor Valerie. We'll raise the history of Batal, probably for the same reason, the ability to open portals to other worlds. Let's move on to my next point in relation to Batal, the artifacts. That's which happens after the Unmoored World, the stone buildings and castles without roofs atop them, and the outplaced debris scattered across the land in all games. The truly peak environmental storytelling that we can see is in both Batal's stone environment and the Zindora wasteland in Dragon's Dogma Online. This is where Faces comes in, and my previously mentioned expansion title, Dark Ambition. Faces likely stems from Hephaestus, and reading the wiki and many other wikis, much like the Watcher's wiki, reveals interesting details that can help us understand things the game does not directly explain to us. Such as that Hephaestus betrays his former king, unlike what I believe Faces will do to us in Dark Ambition. Bold assumptions, perhaps, but what have I told you? That Diamantis, who I previously speculated to actually be Faces, does exactly the same thing. Betraying the former Arisen king and turning them dragon. Golgaron, the golden dragon. Diamantes having the same detestable taste for the entire Dogma as Faces does. Speaking of golden, Hephaestus is said to have created an army of golden mechanical constructs. What is interesting is that alchemized enemies with golden armor can be found all over the area of Zindora, the area which I showed earlier as the last previous prosperous nation before the era of the White Dragon. I would also have to cover the Persians from DD2 and how they seem to be pure infected. What's interesting here is that they spawn from the same red gates as they do in Dogma Online. However, in Dogma Online, they aren't pure infected, rather their infection is crystallized. The infection starts green, with the crystallized tentacles coming out, and once the infection progresses, it will become a very particular red. Not only that, but besides the fact that the crystallization looks very tentacly and red, when such an infected monster attacks, tentacles will come out, and it's extremely dangerous to climb them. At the end of Dragon's Dogma Online, a character named Leo wants to put an end to the creation of many Arisen by the end of the White Dragon, as the world is only meant to have one Arisen. This is where I believe the cyclical nature of Dragon's Dogma truly comes in, and how bittersweet it would be to have the end at the beginning. I'll end with this. The end is the beginning is the end, and also the beginning. Have another look at the opening cutscene of DD2. Listen closely to NPC chatter when the Arisen, between quotes, enters the audience chamber.
On a guess, lend me your ears. Long has our Fevrimon suffered, without a true monarch to guide her and her people. Decades have passed since last His Majesty Erland sat atop the Draken's throne. Long have we endured, yet it has not been for naught. At last, the bell has tolled on the age of the Council. At last, we may celebrate the coming of our rightful ruler. The return of the Sovereign.
My word! Such an inspiring visage. Your Majesty shall have my eternal fealty.
Your Majesty, oh how long I have awaited this moment.
Alas, though he was a just and goodly ruler, there is not a single person alive who remembers his name. Oh, it sounds unfortunate, but if you ask me, 'tis all a matter of perspective. It can be a blessing to forget, and to be forgotten. I should know. In all my long years, I've never forgotten a single thing. I remember everything, every little detail. Would that I could forget some of it. A lie it may seem, but a lie it is not. I speak only the truth, as you well know. Come see me again if it pleases you. I've tales aplenty to share.